chapter 8. This is called Encouragement to Give Generously. So we'll talk a little bit about this, okay? 2 Corinthians chapter 8, let's get started. Paul says this: "We want you to know, brothers, about the grace of God that has been given among the churches of Macedonia. For in a severe test of affliction, their abundance of joy and their extreme poverty have overflowed in a wealth of generosity on their part. For they gave according to their means, as I can testify, and beyond their means of their own accord, begging us earnestly for the favor of taking part in the relief of the saints." So how beautiful is that, guys? Out of their extreme poverty, they gave an extremely generous amount. Okay? And why? Begging us earnestly for the favor of taking part in the relief of the saints. Well, they want to help. So they're giving generously, beyond generously, out of the goodness of their hearts. And he says, "And this, not as we expected, but they gave themselves first to the Lord, and then by the will of God to us." All right, talking about Paul and everybody that traveled with them. "Accordingly, we urged Titus that as he had started, so he should complete among you in this act of grace. But as you excel in everything, in faith, in speech, in knowledge, in all earnestness, and in our love for you, see that you also excel in this act of grace also." So Paul is encouraging them here, okay? He's encouraging, look how these guys treated us. They had nothing, extreme poverty, and yet they gave immensely to us. Let's see right here. He says, look, "I want to report," this is the Message version, "I want to report a surprising and generous way in which God has been working through the churches in Macedonia. Fierce troubles came on the people in those churches, pushing them to their very limit. The trial exposed their true colors. They were incredibly happy, although they were desperately poor. The pressure triggered something totally unexpected, an outpouring of pure and generous gifts. I saw it for myself." So how beautiful is that, guys? The situations got bad, and it did not stop these people. They gave and they gave. And Paul breaks it down a little bit more clearly here as he's encouraging the city of Corinth, the church in Corinth, to do the same. "I say this not as a command, but to prove by the earnestness of others that your love also is genuine." You see that, guys? That church didn't give because they were commanded to. They didn't give because they were guilted into. In fact, in the worst circumstances, it filled their hearts to give to those, even though they did not have much. There's something to that, guys. There really is something to that. And it says this: "For you know the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ, that though he was rich, yet for your sake he became poor, so that you by his poverty may become rich." Notice how Jesus flips the world on its head. "And in this matter I give my judgment. This benefits you, who a year ago started not only to do this work, but also desire to do it. So now finish doing it as well, so that your readiness in desiring it may be matched by your completing it out of what you have. For if the readiness is there, it is acceptable according to what a person has, not according to what he does not have." And Paul breaks this down a little bit further, but here's the Message version. It says, "This was totally spontaneous. It was entirely their own idea, and it caught us completely off guard. What explains it is that when they had first given themselves to God and to us, the other giving simply flowed out of the purposes of God working in their lives." See, Jesus Christ, you might hear this term, is other giving love. He's always focused on giving love to others. He's not about taking it for himself. He's not about getting it for himself. He's always focused on others. And they said, in unreservingly giving themselves to God, this same attitude flowed out of that church there. And out of their extreme poverty, they gave. So Paul says this, "For I do not mean that others should be eased and you should be burdened, but that as a matter of fairness, your abundance at the present time should supply their need, so that their abundance may supply your need, that there may be fairness." Remember, the city of Corinth was wealthy. These people had money, and you could see that in their behaviors, right? Eating and drinking and partying like crazy at the Lord's Supper. There was money to go around in this city. And it says here, Paul gives a Old Testament writing here. It says, "As it is written, whoever gathered much had nothing left over, and whoever gathered little had no lack." Sounds to me like Jesus almost saying, store up treasures for yourself in heaven type of attitude here. But here's what he says. Oh, you know what? Let me read the Mirror version. It says this, "Now everything about you," the Church of Corinth, "everything about you already shines with extravagant evidence of your faith. Your conversation, your knowledge, your enthusiasm, it all bears witness to the affection that we have awakened within you. This is your opportunity now to equally excel in grace of giving." I'm not laying out rules or giving on giving to bring you back into bondage and all that legalism. Your sincere love, encouraged by the enthusiasm of other believers, is what distinguishes your giving, right? We give from a cheerful heart, guys. We give out of the goodness of our hearts. Thank you, Dylan. Dylan proving that right here. There's no law about what Dylan just did. Thank you, Dylan. It says this, "You are acquainted with what the grace of our Lord Jesus Christ communicates. He exchanged his riches for our poverty. The extremities of his identifying with our poverty became the reference to our wealth. Everything he has is ours." Do you see that? You see that? Christ, God in heaven, with all things, the whole world is his, and the fullness thereof becomes human flesh. And he lives among us, and he suffers, and he walks with us. He became poor so that we could become rich, right? You can relate this in many different ways, either literally to giving and money, spiritual blessings. Here is my advice. Since you originally came up with the idea a year ago, it can only be to your advantage if you would now also complete your willingness by reaching into your resources and giving liberally according to your means. So he's encouraging them, guys. Give back. I'm telling you, it's a benefit to you. You're the one that benefits. And so Paul goes on to say this, "But thanks be to God who put into the heart of Titus the same earnest care that I have for you. For he not only accepted our appeal, but being himself very earnest, he is going to you of his own accord." Titus wants to get there. "With him we are sending the brother who is famous among all the churches for his preaching of the gospel. And not only that, but he has been appointed by the churches to travel with us as we carry out this act of grace that is being ministered by us, for the glory of the Lord himself, and to show our good will." They want to spread this good news everywhere they can. "We take this course so that no one should blame us about this generous gift that is being administered by us. For we aim at what is honorable, not only in the Lord's sight, but also in the sight of man. And with them we are sending our brother, whom we have often tested and found earnest in many matters, but who is now more earnest than ever because of his great confidence in you. As for Titus, he is my partner and fellow worker for your benefit. And as for our brothers, they are messengers of the churches, the glory of Christ. So give proof before the churches of your love and our boasting about you to these men." It wraps up here in the Message version and says this, "We don't want anyone to suspect us of taking 1 penny of this money for ourselves. We're being very careful in our reputation with the public as with our reputation with God. That's why we're sending other trusted friends along. He's proved his dependability many times over, and he carries on as energetically as the day has started. He's heard a lot about you and likes what he's heard so much that he cannot wait to get here. I don't need to say anything further about Titus. We've been close associates in this work of serving you for a long time. The brothers who travel with him are delegates from the churches, a real credit to Christ. Show them what you're made of. The love I've been talking up in the churches, let them see it for themselves. So you see, Titus and his crew, the brothers from the churches, are coming to visit, and Paul is encouraging them, hey guys, look, I'm telling you, these other churches in Macedonia, they give and they give. Even if they're extremely impoverished, they give out of the goodness of their hearts. It benefits them. It lifts their spirits. And now we've got Titus and crew coming. Do the same thing, guys. Show them this. Show them the generosity. This is your plan. This is what you guys put into motion a year ago. So now here it comes. Time to get it done. Take care of Titus and all of his partners when they show up. So that wraps 2 Corinthians chapter 8.